Welcome back to your Satisfactory guide. Today I'm going to show you how to get FICSIT coupons fast and a little general shopping guide so that you can get your basic shopping needs in Satisfactory right away. So from last episodes, which was about smart plating, I have moved the space elevator to a new location, so I just removed the wood here. And I could put the space elevator here. You should definitely connect up stuff automatically. So here we have smart plating going into the space elevator by complete automagics. And I also added a little splitter here. Now in the future we will have something called smart splitter and set it to overflow only. But now we have a splitter, which means that half of the smart plates is going into this container. And we do that because we want to have a little buffer of extra smart plating, since in later stages we will need to use smart plating in order to construct even more advanced things, or we want to sync them to get loads of points. Well, that's two things we can do. But in any case, in this little episode, we will of course go into the details on how to get lots of FICSIT coupons fast. And you do remember this thing. Here is our concrete factory, all balanced and set up nicely now. And it actually sinks all its concrete into this awesome sink here. We have 69 coupons. Isn't that very nice, ladies and gentlemen? Do you not think that is very nice? I think that you should think that. In any case, how do we get a lot of coupons fast? Well, basically, what you want to do is you want to sync everything that you produce too much of. So for example, in my case, we should be able to sync some frames here, and we should set up that in due time. And here you can see we are syncing copper parts, so the copper factory is running. But there is a little issue with doing this when we haven't advanced to cold power yet. You do probably remember that we are on biomass, and we have loads and loads and loads of biomass burners here. So it is actually a good thing that we are not syncing everything, since we get very few points from syncing some parts and a lot of points for syncing other parts. And I haven't found this information or guide anywhere else, so I have actually done some math. Yay, math! Basically, I've done some calculations that tell you the points per megawatt. So here we are burning with lots of biomass burners, and we need to refill them kind of often if we are producing lots of resources here. And the limiting factor for us is really the amount of power that we spend on it. So we do not want to spend power on things that give low points. So while it is a good idea to sync copper and concrete and stuff like that, and it of course adds to some extra points, especially the copper sheets. But having this entire facility running just to sync it does cost a little bit too much power right now. Because remember, if we remove this smart sink we have here, which we are doing right now, we are not only saving the production costs for like this entire facility, it's also the smart sink. The smart sink actually, or the awesome sink, I mean, sorry, I totally messed up the name, but the awesome sink takes 30 megawatts to run, and a constructor takes like 4 megawatts to run. So you might understand that running this facility just to sync it takes a lot of power. And when we are on biomass, it can be a good idea to do that for a while so that we can get up some baseline points. But the more points we gain, the slower the next point is gained. So now, for example, the next point for us just takes a long time to get. And this entire thing, you can see it still has 69 points, and it was a while ago we just went here and looked at it. So, sinking all this concrete isn't actually really worth it in terms of power. It was when we started out, but not right now. So basically, what I calculated is I calculated some common materials and set the power per megawatt. And concrete reaches 30 points per megawatt. So, because it only reaches 30 points per megawatt, we should remove this awesome sink here for the time of being, just because it's not viable to keep it online when we are refilling our these biomass burners all the time. What is worth it, however, is, for example, catherium ingots produce 107 points per megawatt. That's more than 3 times as much as concrete. And the weird thing is, of course, I did calculate the mines, the constructors, the smelters, everything, to get these numbers. So 30 points per megawatt isn't really good. Anything out of iron, just simple parts like this, isn't really worth spending your power on. And one of the most things that you can get in early game that produces the most points per megawatt is actually raw quartz. So raw quartz produces 360 points per megawatt, and that's really good. It's actually slightly better than quartz crystal and silica. So in terms of points per megawatt, it's actually better to not process it. However, when it comes to quickwire, it's the other way around. Quickwire gets you 117 points per megawatt, while catherium ingot only gives you 107 points per megawatt. So, transforming them into to quickwire, the catherium ingot to quickwire, does indeed prove itself worthy in terms of the power you spend. With this said, basically, in early game, sink all the stuff that you can't use. So, for example, copper stuff like cables and sheets is better than the iron parts. But after a while, after you have gained like 69 points or something like that, probably 60 points, it's not worth it anymore. I've kept mine online for like this entire playtime, and by now it's not really worth it, so we did remove them. And the same goes for concrete. Only 30 points per megawatt is very low. And raw quartz being 360 points per megawatt basically means we get our map, or we do a ping out of quartz crystal. So as soon as you unlock the quartz crystal, just ping them on the map and see where we have unused resources of the quartz crystal. And we have our used resources there. And here we have a couple of resources here and there. So a new map marker, we're gonna have infinite highlight marker, just so we know where it is. And then we can go to this new marker, because at this location, we're gonna set up lots of miners, and all of the miners are going to go into, awesome sinks. We have several sources there. Right now we're limited to Mark II belts, so we'll set them up to be Mark II. So we'll combine 2 miners for normal sources. Say we want to have like 6 miners at least, and 3 awesome sinks. And we can kind of see what we need. So the only thing I need is actually 6 portable miners. And there we go. We have our 6 miners and everything we might need for that. We have concrete. We should get some more concrete on us. Make sure we have enough cables, because we do want to run the power there. In any case, now that we know that, we can go to the new location, check we have some food, some stuff, some ammo. Everything seems to be good, so we are basically ready to go. And this can be a good idea to actually equip your thing if you want to find power slugs or mushrooms or some specific part on the way. You can just scan for that while running there. Come on. Oh. That was close. When going to remote locations, it can be a good idea to bring the power with you, just so that you can use the transport line or the electric line as a way to traverse. One thing that's very good when exploring is that you can find things that you have no idea what it is, but keep it in your head, because later in the game you will know what it is and you will want to find it. And then you might already know where it is. Alright, so we have appeared here and we can see we have 6 normal quartz sources in the vicinity. And if you kind of wonder how I got these calculations that I made, it's basically, there is a list in the wiki, which will be a link in the description, where you can kind of see the points per unit, which you get when you put it in the Awesome Sync. And then I just take those points and divide it by the amounts of megawatts it takes to produce that item. So like a running cost. So dividing the points by the running cost, and then I get the points per megawatt. And that's where I found this number, 360 points per megawatt, which to my knowledge is the best item you can sync in early game, and certainly much better than concrete or cables that a lot of other people have suggested and tried to give you as tips. And of course, it's good to sync everything that you do not use. But when we are in the biofuel stages, it's kind of a nuisance to use more energy than we actually need, and then it's just a waste of time to sync things that takes a lot of materials to run. So what we're going to do is we're going to power up these sources. They're going to produce 60 per minute. So we're going to power up 2 and 2, so we get, 120 per minute. So what do we have here? Very simple stuff. I just made it look a little bit decent. So this is a normal source, which means 60 per minute with a Mark 1 miner. Mark 1 belt. Here we have another miner, 60 per minute. Mark 1 belt. Goes into a merger, Mark II belt, which means this thing can get 120 raw quartz per minute. And with the power per minute of 360 power per watt, this is a good little baseline points squeezer. This just makes points very good for early game. Should probably have showed you this a little bit earlier. But if you're watching this before having reached as far as I have in these little tutorial series, I would definitely recommend you to find some quartz, just have raw quartz production, and make them squeeze out points for you, just like this. In any case, I've drawn my power line to the way here, so I will be going home using this line as well. Very nice. Oh my god. This isn't stressful at all. Definitely not. Do you see the areas I'm traversing? I'm just waiting for... Ooh, don't release your mouse button now. Come on. Soon home. And there we go. Let's turn on the power. So, let's print. Ooh. Juicy. 70 coupons. This has been running for some time. In any case, 10,365 parts per minute. Or points per minute. That's very nice. In any case, one thing that's a little weird trick that I will kind of show you, in case you haven't known, there is a weird thing you absolutely doesn't need that's just a meme. And what you basically do is you take one of your hard-earned coupons and we put it in here and we let it go into the sink. Why? It died.
FICSIT Incorporated does not waste. As a reward for your creative input, I have been given permission to grant you a gift. You can find it in the Awesome Store. I hope you like it. It was my first solo project.
Alright, so there you could see it said a thing. And here we are at the Awesome shop. By syncing that thing, we actually got a new little part, which you can see here. Here it is, the Cyber Wagon. So if you wonder how to get the Cyber Wagon, it was by syncing one coupon. One thing I definitely would recommend you to not unlock in the beginning is in general like skins, like storage box skins like that, and not parts. So parts can be produced, and these coupons are getting more expensive as we produce them. Like the previous coupon is always easier than the later one. The later coupon takes more points to get. So it's kind of a logarithmic curve like that. So you really don't want to spend materials on things you can craft yourself if you don't absolutely need it. And we have the nice round number of 69 to spend on parts here. And I'm going to show you what are the absolute essentials you need to get, and the things that you, well, can get and can be fun to get, but you don't actually absolutely need. But we're going to get the absolutely most necessary things first, the ones that really will simplify your Satisfactory gameplay life that you will thank yourself you unlocked early. So the label signs, you can label different containers and have some symbol on them so you know what's in it. And that's really good for labeling boxes so you know what is where. So I really recommend you to get the signs. We have wall power outlets, so you can place power outlets on walls. And that will simplify your life a lot too. And you can even put the power outlets, the wall outlets on roofs, which is super convenient. On that note, we have conveyor wall mounts. They are really useful for putting stuff on the walls. I would definitely recommend anyone to unlock the wall mounts early on too. The double ramps are super good for making nice looking ramps for yourself and for vehicles, so you don't have to mess with having like the inverted and the normal ramp. You just have one and you can drag them out, you can zoop them in a nice line. So double ramps is very much simplifying your life. Ramp walls together with roofs is a very great thing to boost the aesthetic of your factory, so you can have nice roofs, you can go away from the foundation roofs. Then we have metal pillars or concrete pillars later. That's kind of it's aesthetical, you don't need this, but it looks really cool. Yeah. We of course have gates, which is useful to have if you want to have doors, and especially the gate hole wall, which is a great open type of wall that will make it will give your open areas, your entrances, a big facelift. Then we have conveyor walls. You can see we get 3 of them here, and that's really nice for having inputs and outputs of factories with conveyor belts. And the wall mount has a double wall mount, and this is how you can get a nice electric connection to your factories. So that was the essentials, but we're going to go and just dive through the different little pieces here. So, label signs, the small ones are the super essential, but the larger ones can be nice because they can look a little bit cooler, or they can look, you can see more easily from a distance too. But the small ones are more important, they are more useful actually. If you want to have lighting on your factory and in your, well, where you are, a street light can be a great light addition so you can see properly. If you have these, you can light up your bases, which is very useful when working on the night. Going over to management, as said, conveyor wall mounts, an absolute must. Conveyor lift floor hole. Honestly, I haven't found it very easy to use these, so from a use perspective, you don't really need these, but they can make vertical conveyors going through foundations look better. So see this one more as an aesthetical piece and less as an organizational piece. Then we of course have the wall power outlets Mark 1. And that's great for having, well, wall power outlets in your factories and in the roofs of the factories. And we have the Mark IIs here, which can be useful too. I don't actually know why we can unlock them before unlocking the Mark II regular power pole, but whatever. The regular wall mount is, however, a little bit more important that you'll get early on. Then we'll have the double ramp set, definitely recommend. These other pieces are more aesthetical, so I kind of want these and these, but I might remove them just for aesthetical reasons. But actually the double ramp set is a useful piece of, well, structure, foundation type. Then we go over to walls, conveyor walls, very useful. The normal ramps, the wall ramps, very useful too. We have tilted walls. So we have tilted walls and we have roofs. If you have to get one in early on, I would get the roofs actually, because they are flat. You have flat roofs as well. On the tilted wall, there is no flat tilted wall kind of. So of course these look nice, but they're not necessary. I'll see if I can afford them. One thing you probably want for your aesthetical peace of mind is windowed walls. So we'll get some windows. You can see we get different types of windows, which is super nice for, well, architecture. And as said, the gate hole wall, it comes with an automated gate, but the gate hole wall is the best kind of gate we have. We have doors here too, and they're kind of not so expensive, but you don't need these. You kind of need this one, just because the gate hole wall can be used for architecture as well. And then we can go over to actual architecture. And here we have FICSIT roofs. The normal flat roofs I would recommend you to get. Then we have the tilted walls here, and that's optional. You want to unlock this first. So we have metal pillars and concrete pillars. They are very similar. They kind of do the same. Choose the one you think looks best. You don't need both early on, but they basically add a very nice way to have supports for big floors, so you don't have floating foundation, because that doesn't look cool. But of course, they don't do much more than normal foundations. So see, this one is more aesthetical. Then we'll have industrial railing, modern railing, two different type of railing. Very good for not falling down, very good for decoration. It's decorative. Since we have industrial and modern, I'm going to select modern railing and modern catwalks, because they can be added up and connected up to actual factories, so you can make your actual factory buildings almost a little bit walkable, because you can reach the different decks using the catwalks. Very handy. If you want to get around more easily, the factory ladder is quite useful too. The stairs I find are kind of crammed and they kind of doesn't look very good, so see the stairs more as a decoration, or they look kind of good, but they look weird when you walk in them. So see the stairs as more decoration than useful. The ladders are useful. And I've seen we already gone over budget a little bit here. Now here we come to some aesthetical things here. So basically, we have concrete foundations. I think they look much better than normal foundations, so I want to shop for concrete foundation. You don't need this. They only do, they look concrete. But one thing they kind of add is that foundations will no longer cost, well, metal plates. If you're using concrete foundation, they will take more concrete, but they will not use like metal plates or iron plates. So that can actually be good to keep in mind. Even though they are more decorative, they are also useful in that term. You don't need to bring as much iron plates if you use this material. But these are basically, well, kind of different skins on like existing stuff. So here we even have foundation patterns and stuff like that. We can buy like pathways, and these are just decorative. I'm not gonna build that. I'm not gonna buy that, but yeah. Then we have the specials. Here we can see the Cyber Wagon we unlocked by wasting one coupon. It can be useful to have a vehicle early on like that, but personally I would stay away from the FICSIT specials. They are fun, but in early game you probably want to spend more on actual useful things, like a coffee cup. Just kidding. And as again, on parts, try to not buy this. Instead, produce things instead, because you need to produce a lot more things and waste them in order to get the coupons these are well, costing. And you get the full stack of this if you buy them, but still I wouldn't do it. So 85 coupons, we cannot afford that. So for me, the half foundation set goes away. And here we can see if we remove some of the coffee cups, we can only buy one of them. And we can see I can afford this with 67 coupons. So what I will be getting, all these hours of, well, burning biofuel in order to produce things, will go to label science bundle, display bundles, street lights, conveyor wall mounts, conveyor lift, floor holes, wall mount, power outlets, double ramps, conveyor walls, ramp walls, tilted walls, window walls, gates, door walls, FICSIT roofs and the corners, concrete pillars, modern railing, modern catwalks, factory ladder, concrete foundation material, and coffee cup. Bye. So there we have it. And if you are wondering how everyone takes these silly screenshots, it's with this thing. And with left click, you drink coffee. Very Swedish to hold the coffee cup, stand, look at somebody else's work, and drink. In any case, that is basically my little shopping guide. And when you go here, you can see all these beautiful new things unlocked. So let me show you how this works. You can see we have, this looks a little bit scuffed, but we can now just have a double outlet and we can connect this one up very easily. And that's just so nice. So we have the normal power outlets. You can see we can even place them in the roof here. They work on the roof box too. So it's much easier to sort your factories and set up your electricity. And this thing, if you want to have a foundation and you want to have a conveyor lift running through it, you can now spawn it there and just drag it, and it looks better. And it's kind of a little hole thing into the ground. And of course, the conveyor wall mounts are very useful when setting up factories. We can just add it here, and we can build conveyor belts on the walls. So that's very handy. And if we go here, you can see the labels. So instead of having like a piece of leaf there, we can either select the small signs, which I would recommend you to have more. And that's just having like a small sign above that says that. Or we can have a larger display sign, but that costs more quartz, of course. And we could, well, they look a little bit flashier. The image you put on them are looking better. Now I don't have any quartz on me, but yeah, so that's a bummer. And then you can see here on foundations, if we want to reach the concrete foundation, you can see they may be set at FICSIT foundation only. Oh, and here is the double ramp. If you change your mood by clicking R to zoop, we can basically zoop a ramp like this. And that's super handy for building nice looking ramps just super quickly. So that's why we wanted that. But this is set to FICSIT. Set this to no filter, and then you will be able to get this thing. You can see it takes 7 concrete. So this foundation takes 7 concrete, but this foundation takes 5 concrete but instead 2 iron plates. So if you want to carry around more concrete, you can use concrete foundations. And I think they look absolutely more splendid. Right, so that's that. And we have the ramps and the double ramps and stuff like that. So it's really cool. And of course, ramp walls. We have walls like that. We have windows. You can see that we're going to make some much better looking, well, architecture very soon. And the walls with doors. Just select this thing here. It should just automatically open. Switch to almost open. Switch to automatic. And as I told you, the gate hole is just like this, and you can see that we can use this in place of open gaps that we may have used before. And of course, a big gate, which works the same way too as the doors. Conveyor walls, you might understand how they work, but it's just we connect up conveyor belts to the walls here. So that's how they, and you can just see we're just gonna make so much cooler things now. Under architecture, for some weird reason, we have the roofs. So if you're missing your roofs, there they are. And they look like this. They have an overhang too, so they look really great. Would recommend. Then you don't need to use the support part, of course, but you can to make it look nice, and then you can have a concrete pillar going upwards like this, or the metal pillar, whatever you chose, and the big one as well. And then we have the ladders, and as you might understand, we can make sure we can zoom the ladder down like that, and we can just climb it. Super easy to get on top of your factories. The modern railing, as you might understand, oh, and it's also automatic. It becomes a tilted variant like this, and a normal variant here, and that's just super neat. And one thing that I really like is that the catwalks, you can actually build your catwalks and snap them onto your like existing structures. So we can see we can actually connect up the hub with a nice catwalk here. We can make it look real nice. And it's the same thing for factories or constructors and stuff like that. I don't know if it's for the mines, but for the factories, you can see we can make them accessible from above using a catwalk. Isn't that super cool? It just looks so nice. So that's super useful to access your buildings from above a little bit. And we can add stairs, and now I don't have any more plates on me, but that's kind of how it works. Anyways, I think that's all we need to know for this time. So this is my little tips on how to get, well, coupons fast, and a little shopping guide. So hopefully you found this useful, and well, happy generating your points and happy shopping. And I hope that these little tips kind of helped you on what you should buy in early game. This is your host Gmodism. We are signing out, and I'll be seeing you in the next episode of this Satisfactory Let's Play tutorial series, which walks you through the game. The playlist is in the description, so do check out the earlier episodes as well. A lot of great tips in the first video, actually. In any case, this is Gmodism. I'm signing out. Like the video, and I'll see you next time.